Okay. Hi, it's Genevieve, Felicity and Janine from Ready Together. And we've just noticed a lot of questions, haven't we, guys, coming
Yeah.
up around preparing for birth and what are the things that people should think about, whether it's good to have a birth plan. And the absolute expert of all of this within our group is Janine. And so we thought just the three of us would have a chat today so that we can just unpack some of the useful things to think about when you are pregnant, especially right now, I guess, where people may not be able to have a doula in at their birth. You know, what are some of the things that are useful? So we thought we'd do that today. So Janine, do you want to kick off by telling us a bit more about who you are and the work you do for people that don't know?
Sure. So I'm a pregnancy, birth and postpartum doula. Previously been a nurse and worked in obstetrics for many years, but now full-time doula. And so I'm working with birthing mums all the time and still working with all my birthing mums through this crisis as well. So I think the thing that we're finding a lot is, people are wondering how things are going to change in this environment and in this situation as it is right now. So it's even more important to get prepared mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever way you can to sort of welcome your little one into the world and in this situation, in any situation. So I talk a lot with my clients, whether we're not allowed in the birth space at the moment, we're not able to join them, have an extra person in the birth space. So we're doing extra work towards the day, just to really empower the partners to just know that they've got what it takes. They're crucial in the birth space anyway. So as a doula, our role really is to just hold space for mum and her partner to be in that bubble, birth safely, and we're the ones that hold space for that so they can do what they need to do. So
that sounds amazing. And have you seen a difference in some of the dads since this change where they're maybe getting more empowered to play that role?
Absolutely. They have been absolute superstars. It's incredible. And by the time birth comes around, we know each other really well. We've often had most of the pregnancy together, and sort of like you have this team and you gather this team. And so empowering them to know that they have totally got what they need to have for the day. You know, they made this baby, they are a team, they can bring this baby into the world together. And I have noticed a huge difference. And especially for the birthing mums, like, oh, he is, or she, or whatever the partner is just a superstar and was 100% there for them. So then it's all about, it's been amazing. And it's all about advocating for yourself in the space as well. So
we were talking earlier, and we, us three together, and one of the things we were talking about was the difference between if you've got a plan, a birth plan, and if you don't. So in your experience, what have you seen is the difference in outcomes for people where there was a plan in place and not?
Yeah, so all of my clients, the ones that I work with, obviously have a plan. And I know that plan doesn't always go, like, it doesn't mean to say that this is what you have and this is how it's going to go. Having a plan really empowers you. It really informs you of the choices that you have at the time. So when I put together a plan with a couple, we start right from the beginning. Like, we start from the beginning of labor. How do you want that to look? Where would you like to be? What comfort measures do you have in place? So I educate them about all of that. Once they get to
often from the midwife's point of view, when a woman comes in, when a couple come in with that idea of what they want and what's important to them, it's really lovely, because without having it speeds up that rapport building, I think, because you know what's important to them and you know what isn't. So I think just from the midwife's point of view, it's really can be very, very beneficial. And I think
it's well received, not kind of, oh no, someone with a plan.
Yeah, I think knowing that, as Janine was saying, knowing that it's an idea, it's what's important to you, and it's not a concrete, we must move from A through B to C and D, and that, I think those sorts of setups is where it's harder for everybody,
but it's a bit of a roadmap, or
just having that plan that if all goes the way we want it to go, well, this is what we want. And if things change, well, this is what I want. So yeah, I think it's nice to hear, I think, from the midwife side of things, that you're not going to go in there and they're going to go, oh God, here we go. You know, it's going to be something that it will be received, and it's helpful to everybody in the room, I think.
That's so beautiful to hear. And I do find that's lovely. Thank you so much, Felicity, because it's true. You know, when you come in with a plan, it's like you've been educated, you know that you've been taught, and the scenarios, all scenarios have been shared with you. So it gives you time to have space to help make a decision as well. And Felicity, you'll know this, you know, the midwives, so they're fantastic, and they come in and they say, look, this is what's happening right now. We're thinking, you know, perhaps, but it'll just mean that you are aware of all the different scenarios if it's explained to you really well, like most midwives will, which is great. But it gives you the confidence to say, can we just have, unless it's a medical emergency, obviously, and then things a bit different, but can we just have a few minutes? Can you just leave us alone for a minute? We just want to have a chat. And so you go through work as you would have done with calm birth as well, you know, with that brain, the benefits and the risks and the alternatives, and what your intuition is saying, and what happens if you do nothing. So it just helps with that problem solving. So by the time babies arrive, they've felt like they're really part of that journey. It hasn't sort of happened to them. They've been part of the decision making, and they're like,
so by having a plan, it kind of empowers people to slow the pace down, and feel like even if it didn't go to plan, they had a choice in, okay, well, that's not going to work, so we can do this or this. But it just gives people that knowledge to know they can say, no, I don't want that. Or or I understand
why you're... Sorry, go on.
No, you go. It's fine.
Oh no, I was just saying, when things move really fast and sometimes there isn't a lot of time, if you have had a conversation around the possibility of this happening, then it's not magic, and it doesn't necessarily change anything, but having that understanding of okay, so we're on this path now, this is where we're going, and this is what might happen, it can take the fear out of the unknown, of, you know,
you've already thought about it, if we need to go this route. And so it's
so true.
So Janine, then given that a plan is so important, what are the key, you know, what are your top 5 or top 3 things that people should think about in developing a birth plan?
Well, the one thing I do notice in actually putting a plan together, it's a really good communication tool for the partners at the time that we sit down and we do it, because it makes them really understand what each of them actually want, and how they'd like their day to be. It also helps your oxytocin levels, because it helps you connect with your baby. You realize this baby's going to come, you're part of the process, and this is the most awesome day. Your baby's hopefully going to choose its own birthday, and you're going to be part of it. So that's sort of the beginning. That's what I think is a beautiful part. It's an exciting thing. It's like, baby's going to be coming. So, so that would be one of the things. I think probably always with everybody, I'll go through sort of, what would you like the environment to be like? Who would you like to be in the room with you? What are your thoughts about comfort measures and pain relief? And do you know about them all? And let's just talk about that. Would you like to be in the water? Would you not? What would you like to do with your placenta? And even talking about the 3rd stage, you know, delivering the placenta, and also medical things that can happen at that time, like an oxytocin or syntocin, and an injection at that time. Also, would your partner like to cut the cord? Would you like delayed cord clamping? Would you like hepatitis B vaccination? Would you like vitamin K injection? So it's actually sort of even when we talk about induction, like what are your thoughts if you get to term, and let's talk about that. And we talk about a lot of just getting ready for baby as well at that time, like, you know, sitting forward, getting on the ball, all of that before even you go into labor. So so I would do it about 33 weeks. Normally people have had their childbirth education, pre-birth education around about 30 weeks. So
when you put it like that, there is so many things to consider. And I can imagine, and I know from the birth of my 4 kids, that it is so important to have that conversation with your partner, because you could actually get there and find that he maybe hasn't processed the idea of
Yes.
seeing you in pain, and then you want a natural birth and he's like, no.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you might just, if you haven't talked about it, I can imagine that could create sort of added stress into the delivery.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I find a lot of partners are thinking, what can I do? They are crucial. So once you explain to them and say, you are such a huge part of this picture, and then you can educate them on neck and pressure points, what's going on, how comfort, how to make her feel more comfortable, changing positions, all those sorts of things. They're like, oh, okay, even if it's just giving her a sip of water the whole way through the labor, that's like, I've got a job, I 100% can do that, I'm here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and what a great thing for the relationship when dad can feel really involved rather than
absolutely, because often that's the first time they have actually seen their partner in struggling in a really challenging situation, and or what their perception is that they're in pain, and that woman may not actually be experiencing what it looks like for the outside world at that point in time, but that's their perception. And if that's the first time it's ever been, they've been confronted with that, well, they may want to run in and fix it. Yeah.
Well, they do. It's hard, isn't it, to see somebody in pain?
Yeah,
really
absolutely. So, having a plan of, and I mean, what I always find interesting is how partners will say, I did not expect her to do that. Normally, when if she's had a headache or something like that, she just wants to us all to be quiet. But wow, she was really vocal. And there's a whole, and I mean, oftentimes it's funny, but that may be quite confronting for some people. So
also those that are communicative and then they don't communicate, because obviously when you're in the zone and you're birthing, it's normally just a finger, like you get to learn don't drink, and so they're not used to perhaps their partner not communicating at all, because they're just completely in that. So explaining that to partners on the way through, and this is normal, this is fine, this is what to expect. And so during the birth pattern time, that's when we have those conversations too.
That's amazing. And is there anything else that we've missed today before we sort of wrap up? Is there anything else that top tips for preparing?
I talk to all my couples about things like getting their body up and off the couch and sitting forward, because a lot of our posture now is sitting down, which Joe would have talked about as well, sitting back. So our babies like to sometimes sit in that way as well, but we really wanted them up and forward and spine out the front, and to help ideal position for baby to be in.
So just sort of from 33 weeks on.
Just even just being able to sit on that ball, getting a football in the home, which actually is the best tool for settling a baby after baby's here too. For dads to sit on a ball and bounce, that settles baby. It's fantastic.
A good rhythm.
Acupuncture, seeing a chiro, changes in their diet sometimes, massage, all those beautiful self-care things as well, and really being kind to themselves and knowing that they've got this beautiful journey ahead of them, and being prepared in all ways to meet their baby.
I think talking through all the options, like you've mentioned a lot of things, and as Jen was saying, there is so many things to think about. I think having those conversations, as you say now, and going, oh, what do we actually want to do with the placenta? I didn't know you could do anything. What can we do? Well, what do you mean by what sort of third stage do we? I mean, how, all of those sorts of questions that having them between the two, or between the whoever's going to be that support person there with you.
I think
and as we were saying earlier as well, in my work where I see women on the other side, I think that having made a plan and being really informed about what your options are reduces the risk of feeling traumatized by your birth. So, even when it goes wrong, if you knew more about it going into it and you knew what you wanted, you can feel a little bit more in control, which is better at the end of the day. So
if anything, it just being just understanding you have choices, and there is a discussion to be had about every stage that comes through, and understanding all the terminology around it at the time, even, so you can make that decision like, okay, I understand. I know that I don't have a choice in this path right at this minute, but I understand why it's happening, and please explain to me. And your partner knows, and just giving them time and space, and you have a lot of choices.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much.